Hello and welcome to Science Baraza. I'm Sheila Ochuboju. I'm the Executive Director of Alliance for Science.
Hey, hello, my name is Michael Nyango. I look after partnerships here at the Alliance for Science. Looking forward to being with you and engaging over the next 2 weeks. This is Science Baraza. You're able to connect and understand why COP is of value. But just before we get there, Sheila, what is COP and why must people understand what COP is all about?
Yeah, people hear COP, COP, COP all the time, and actually COP, C-O-P, means Conference of Parties. And these parties are the world. So each party is a country, it's a sovereign government, which goes to these talks to negotiate and also to discuss the impact of climate change. What are they going to do? What are they going to give up? Why does it matter?
Okay, since we're here in Nairobi, earlier on this year, there was a climate action summit. Any relation to COP?
Well, there was the Africa Climate Summit, and it was a very big deal because it's the first time that it had happened. It was the inaugural Africa Climate Summit. And a declaration was signed, the Nairobi Declaration. So
okay,
at COP...
But just before we go there, let's backtrack a bit. How did this come about, the Africa Climate Summit? Where did it emanate from, and what's its importance and relevance? Well,
it actually comes from the leadership of the current president, President Ruto, who is the current chair of the African Heads of Government. It's a body called CAHOSC, and they meet at the beginning of each year to determine what is Africa's position on climate change. And he, taking over his position as chair in January, declared that we're tired of going to other countries to talk about Africa and what is happening in terms of climate change. And he invited the world to come to Nairobi to the Africa Climate Summit and to discuss here why it matters for Africa.
It's interesting. He invited the world to come to Nairobi. What is it? And I think it's important. One of the things that we keep missing out, I mean, people are wondering, why did the world come to Nairobi earlier on in June this year? Why was everybody here? Why is it such a big deal? Will it make any impact in our lives going forward? What happens next? And especially, a lot of young people can't connect, or there's a disconnect with what is going on. These are, and I'll use their terms, these are old people just around the table. So really, what was the significance, and did anything really happen of significance?
That's a big question. I guess from a young person's point of view, it's always old people who don't look like them in a room deciding their futures for them. But the thing is, climate affects everybody. The rain falls on all of us. The floods happens to all of us. The droughts affects all of us. So young people are invested in having a planet that they can grow up in and hopefully have children and continue in their lives successfully with. So that summit was supposed to focus on the fact that Africa is most impacted by climate change, but has contributed the least to the reason why we have climate change, which is largely based on human-based industrial activity in terms of emissions, industrialization. We're not that industrialized, and therefore we didn't contribute to where we are now. But we're suffering from it.
That is so true. And COP is so huge, and there's so much that happens over 2 weeks. And of course, I mean, as Science Baraza, we're no way going to try and take the whole breadth of everything that happens in the 2 weeks. It's too big. So I do know, I mean, I'm very excited that we have some of the science allies who are going to be there.
Yeah.
So maybe you want to mention who, from where, and which parts of the...
Well, we have our team members who are going to be there. We're very excited that our resilience envoy, or also known as our resilience ambassador, Honorable Jacqueline Cohen, she's going to be there in the first week, which is the high-level week, and she's there in the express invitation of the COP presidency. And she's also there with our team member Arif Hussain, who heads Farming Future Bangladesh, so one of our core team members. And Mark Linus, he's going to be there. He's supporting the Climate Vulnerable Forum, which is a group of many countries from Africa, Asia, Latin America, and the Caribbean, who are as vulnerable as Africa in terms of climate impacts. So they're going to be calling in and telling us what's happening, why it matters, so that we can keep our audience engaged in climate activities.
That is great. So the thing is that, so again, so you've said that we're going to have our people there, but we must remember that, like you said, climate is such an important thing. Climate affects food.
Yeah.
You know, without a doubt. Climate affects our livelihoods.
Yeah.
But then the other thing is, I mean, what I'm excited about, what I'm hoping we're finally going to wrap our heads around, is last year at COP27, which you attended.
Yeah, I was there.
Yeah. One of the biggest gains then that we had as a continent is that we finally agreed. The world finally agreed that they'll pay out.
Every year they agree they'll pay out. The pledges for support, the amounts that are in some bank account somewhere to help vulnerable countries are huge. We're talking 100 billion. And the conversation has been around 100 billion is not even enough for adaptation. We even need more. We need to double the amount of money. But the question is, how many people have actually been able to draw down from that fund and seen any effects? So the issue of climate financing, where's the money? Who's going to get it?
Yes,
is a big deal.
But okay, but just so that we don't lose everybody else, let's tell them the 4 areas we're going to be working around and we're going to be bringing to them through the screens. So let's just very quickly tell them.
Yeah, COP is about everything. Right. It's like the World Cup of scientists, policymakers. It's big. There are many important subjects. So we've decided to focus on the things that we are passionate about. We're passionate about food and nutrition security. We care about climate action in communities. So how is it impacting communities in the global south? We care about health, because climate change is affecting the rise of many diseases because of the ways our seasons are changing, the rise of pests. And we also care about education. How are we supporting our young people to understand, to participate, the next generation, young people, women. So we'll focus on those sorts of things, and particularly also on faith and science diplomacy, because faith communities are very engaged with ideas of good stewardship. And in this COP, I think it's going to be the first COP that actually has a faith pavilion. I think it's the Vatican that's actually sponsoring that faith pavilion, but it's for all faiths. So it's going to be interesting to see how the conversations about faith communities and good stewardship of our environment is going to play out.
So everyone who's currently watching us here, you've got to keep tuned to where we're going to be, to what we're going to be doing.
Yeah.
We're going to have real people.
Real people, real time.
We're going to be real time here with you. And most of all, there's a lot of feeding and ways in which you can engage with us over social media. We'll be sharing our different handles, so that then this is not about us, but it's really about you, and it's about your lives, and it's about the things that matter to you. So we're really looking forward to engaging with you all, and so make sure that you're on board and you're with us.
See you soon.